we're going to start with radiating lines on the sequins. Starts with a circle shape or a crescent shape as we have here, outlined with beads. And then the rows of sequins are all going to be heading towards a center point, whether it's beyond the design or within the circle itself. We're going to start our stitch right close to the edge of the beads. That makes sure that the first sequin sits right up against it and not sitting on the surface beside it. So we make our 3 beginning stitches. Now normally the first sequin you would push it up and then measure it and start the stitch here, but we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is take the stitch, pull it back as far as it will go, put my hook into the fabric, now push a sequin up and make my stitch. This forces that sequin to sit up on top of the edge of the bead. Now the rest of the sequins in this line will continue to be applied just as they always would be, with overlapping the previous one by about half, heading a straight line down towards the center. I'm going to stop it at the transverse line so that it only creates a partial fan, but you could do this all the way to the center of a circular design. When you get to the end of where you're stitching, you take a little side stitch, stitch your way back out to the edge so you don't have to do a starting and stopping stitch every place. Stitch a little bit over and then measure to make sure that your outer sequins are not overlapping. That one's okay, so I pull my stitch back, push my sequin up, and again make that one sit on the edge of the bugle beads. Now this row is going to come in on a slightly different angle, and it's not going to be a full row, so it's probably going to be about, let's see, that's maybe two more sequins to finish off this particular row. The way to make sequins like this radiate is to have a full row and then a partial row, a full row and a partial row, and that forces them to form a radiating pattern. Now it's stitching back out to the edge, back over the width of the sequin, so that edge will pull the stitch back so that this sequin here again does not overlap the one next to it. It's okay if they overlap on the way down as they would. Now this row is going to be all the way down to the bottom. Side stitch, stitch back up, stitch over, stitch down part way, and you just simply continue. Even if you have semi-transparent sequins, if your stitching line is right close to the edge of the sequin, you really won't see the thread through the sequins. If they're the least bit opaque, it completely disappears. And now I would stitch back over to the other side and go up and finish that. Now on these, we've got a particular series of beads and sequins strung because the sequins have 2 holes in them. And rather than having them in the middle, they're at each end. Now these are bugle beads. You could use seed beads. You could use a combination of beads. You could use pretty much anything as long as it fits from one hole to the next. But for however many you're going to put on your project, you have to pre-string them so that they are all there ready to go. So I put in my first stitch, and then I push the sequin up and then go through the other hole. And now I pick up the 3 beads that are pre-strung and stitch them on, and then take 1 stitch over the edge of the sequin. Without the beads on there, the line of thread will show, which if that's a design you're looking for, that's not a problem. But in this case, I wanted to add a little bit of depth. So again, through the end of the sequin, and this is just doing them in a straight line, pick up the 3 beads, and then do a little stitch to hold them right off the edge of the sequin. Now you can also take these and angle them out left and right to create a little bundle of leaves. But the problem is we have to get the loop at the top of the leaf pattern. And you can see that it's nowhere near there. If I just made the stitch here, the leaf wouldn't hold. I have to literally take stitches with the loop to go from here all the way out to where I want the point of the leaf to be. And because these are opaque sequins, I can just stitch out to that area and the sequin is going to cover it. So there I am right at the point. I go back to the base of the sequin and pick up my 3 beads and then do another little locking stitch to hold it in place. Now to go out in the other direction, I kind of have an idea of how far I want to go, so I'll do a couple of stitches and then I'll check to see, is that a good placement? No, that's too low. I want it a little bit higher, so I'll take one more stitch and then place the leaf in and go down to the bottom hole, pick up the beads. And you can do this as a whole border around something, left to right, left to right, left to right, and overlap them. And because these are opaque sequins, none of the threads, the traveling threads, show because they're being totally covered. So here I kind of get the idea of where I want the end of the sequin to be, and I can just stitch up to that point and then catch the bottom. As again, grabbing the 3 beads that are already strung, take the stitch, do a little locking stitch, and again, head up the other side to where I think it wants to be, and I can always check it, oops, to see if it's the right positioning. It looks pretty good. Come down to the end, pick up the last batch of beads, my little locking stitch, come on, there we go, and there we have it. We have a little leaf pattern that is started as a line, went to overlapping. It could be a whole series of combinations of these around a design, and none of the traveling threads will show as we see when we turn it over. So here's the radiating sequin lines, and you see how they make a nice edging, but there's one that slipped under the bugle bead. So that happens, not to worry. You just get your hook or a pair of tweezers and just get in there and massage that sequin out to the outside. There we go. To the outside so it sits out there. And you notice that the sequins on the ends don't overlap. You have a nice little scalloped effect. That's what you're looking for. Here's our leaves. Again, started as 2 in a row and then added the left and right to the side, and there's all kinds of possibilities you can do with this. The bugle beads could be replaced with seed beads, combinations, could be just left off completely and used a metallic thread, would be very interesting. But the travel threads are not seen because they're completely covered by the sequins.